When the United States President Donald Trump remarked in his 2025 address to a joint session of the United States Congress that nobody has ever heard of Lesotho, the small African nation was shocked by the statement. While it may not be widely known, Lesotho is a country with a rich history, breathtaking landscapes, and unique cultural traditions that make it stand out in Africa and beyond. Welcome to One Good Fact. Today you are sure to learn one good fact about Lesotho, a land of extraordinary resilience, breathtaking beauty, and deep-rooted culture. Imagine a land so high above sea level that it's called the Kingdom in the Sky, a place where villages are so remote they can only be reached on horseback or by foot, a country that produces the very jeans you wear and supplies precious water to a neighboring giant. Yet most people have never even heard of it. Welcome to Lesotho, one of the world's most fascinating hidden gems. Stay with me as we uncover 10 mind-blowing facts about this mysterious mountain kingdom. Tucked away in southern Africa, Lesotho is an entirely mountainous kingdom surrounded on all sides by South Africa. Despite its size, it boasts remarkable geographical, cultural, and economic significance. Here are 10 fascinating things you should know about this hidden gem. Fact number 1, the Kingdom in the Sky. Lesotho's unique elevation and rugged terrain. Lesotho isn't just high up, it's the only country in the world that exists entirely above 1,000 meters in elevation. Lesotho is often called the Kingdom in the Sky, and the name is more than just poetic, it's a fact of geography. This small African nation is the only independent country in the world that lies entirely above 1,000 meters, or 3,281 feet, in elevation. To put that into perspective, even Lesotho's lowest point sits at 1,400 meters, or 4,593 feet, higher than most European mountain peaks. This extreme altitude means Lesotho has a landscape unlike anywhere else in Africa. It is completely mountainous, with rolling highlands, deep valleys, and steep cliffs forming the backbone of the country. The Molotai Mountains, a rugged range running across Lesotho, not only shape the country's natural beauty, but also dictate how people live, travel, and survive in this isolated kingdom. Lesotho's high-altitude environment affects almost every aspect of life. Climate. The country experiences cooler temperatures than most of Africa. In winter, snow blankets the peaks, and temperatures can drop below freezing, especially in higher elevations. Transportation. Many remote villages are so inaccessible that people must travel by horseback, light aircraft, or on foot to reach them. Modern roads are limited, and some areas remain cut off during the winter months due to heavy snowfall. Agriculture high-altitude farming is challenging, as the terrain is steep and the soil is not very fertile. Most farming takes place in small valleys where crops like maize and wheat can grow. These conditions make Lesotho unique within Africa. While most of the continent is known for deserts, savannas, or tropical rainforests, Lesotho stands apart with its cold winters, mountain passes, and high-altitude villages. One of the most remarkable and terrifying features of Lesotho's terrain is the Matakan airstrip, a tiny airport that has gained worldwide attention for its extreme difficulty. The airstrip is located on a mountain plateau, with a short runway that ends abruptly at a sheer cliff. Pilots must time their takeoff perfectly, otherwise they face a heart-stopping drop before the aircraft can gain altitude. Business Insider has even compared flying from Matakan airstrip to a baby bird being pushed out of the nest to learn how to fly. Many pilots refuse to land there, and those who do must have expertise in short takeoff and landing, or STOL procedures. A true kingdom in the sky. Lesotho's unique geography, high-altitude villages, and snow-covered peaks make it one of the most distinct countries in the world. Life here is tough, shaped by the challenges of altitude, isolation, and a harsh climate. But it's also a land of incredible beauty, rich traditions, and breathtaking landscapes that have earned it a well-deserved reputation as the Kingdom in the Sky. But what makes Lesotho even more unique is that it's one of the very few countries on Earth that is completely surrounded by another nation. Fact number 2, a country surrounded by South Africa. The unusual geography of Lesotho. Lesotho is one of the very few countries in the world that is completely surrounded by another nation. In geographical terms, this makes Lesotho an enclave, one of only 3 sovereign states on Earth that are entirely landlocked within a single country, the others being San Marino and Vatican City, both of which are surrounded by Italy. Unlike San Marino and Vatican City, which are tiny city-states, Lesotho is a large, mountainous kingdom with over 2 million people. Yet, despite its distinct history and culture, it remains geographically isolated within South Africa's borders, affecting its economy, trade, and even its survival. Lesotho's unique geopolitical situation dates back to the 19th century. Before European colonization, the land was home to the Basotho people, who formed a kingdom under King Moshoeshoe I in the early 1800s. During this period, European settlers from the Cape Colony, modern-day South Africa, were expanding into the region. The Basotho people fought fiercely to maintain their independence from British and Boer forces, but after several wars, King Moshoeshoe I sought protection from the British. In 1868, Britain officially declared Lesotho a protectorate, keeping it separate from what would later become South Africa. When South Africa formed as a unified country in 1910, Lesotho, then called Basutoland, remained under British rule. By the time Lesotho gained full independence in 1966, South Africa had already become a powerful economic and political force, and Lesotho found itself surrounded on all sides by its much larger neighbor. Being fully enclosed within South Africa has both economic and social consequences for Lesotho. First, there's the dependence on South Africa for trade. Since Lesotho has no access to the ocean, it relies entirely on South Africa's roads, railways, and ports for imports and exports. Everything from food and fuel to manufactured goods must be transported through South Africa, making Lesotho vulnerable to any political or economic instability in its larger neighbor. Second, there's the issue of limited agricultural land and food insecurity. Lesotho is a mountainous country with very little fertile land. Less than 10% of its land is suitable for farming, making food production difficult. As a result, Lesotho imports over 70% of its food, mostly from South Africa. This makes the country highly dependent on food prices and supply chains controlled by another nation. Third, employment and migration are significant challenges. With limited job opportunities in Lesotho, many Basotho citizens travel to South Africa to work, especially in mines, factories, and construction industries. At one point, over half of Lesotho's male workforce was employed in South African mines. Today, thousands of Basotho workers still cross the border daily for employment. Fourth, there's a cultural overlap with South Africa. The Basotho people share a strong cultural and linguistic bond with South Africans, particularly with the Sotho-speaking communities in South Africa's Free State province. Sesotho, Lesotho's official language, is actually spoken by more people in South Africa, about 4.6 million, than in Lesotho, which has about 2.1 million speakers. Lastly, political tensions and border issues are a constant concern. Since Lesotho is landlocked, its political stability is often affected by South African policies. Border crossings can be difficult, and workers traveling to South Africa sometimes face immigration restrictions or labor disputes that directly impact Lesotho's economy. Despite these challenges, Lesotho's geographical position also brings some benefits. Economic support. Lesotho has access to South African markets, financial systems, and labor opportunities. Trade agreements. Lesotho benefits from regional trade deals, allowing goods to move easily between the two countries. Infrastructure and services. Many Basotho citizens use South African hospitals, universities, and shopping centers, since they are often better equipped than those in Lesotho, a small nation with a strong identity. Although completely encircled by South Africa, Lesotho has remained a proudly independent kingdom. The Basotho people have worked hard to preserve their unique culture, language, and traditions, resisting attempts to be absorbed into South Africa. Being landlocked and dependent on a larger neighbor is a double-edged sword. It provides economic benefits, but also makes Lesotho vulnerable to outside influences and economic hardships. But despite the odds, Lesotho has carved out its own identity, proving that even the smallest nations can stand tall, especially when they're already thousands of meters above sea level. But Lesotho isn't just dependent on South Africa, it's also selling them its most valuable resource, something called white gold. Here we explore how Lesotho's water exports sustain its economy and power South Africa. Fact number 3, Lesotho's most precious resource, white gold. In most parts of the world, valuable resources include oil, gold, or diamonds, but in Lesotho, the most precious and profitable resource isn't a mineral or fossil fuel. It's water. Yes, water is Lesotho's white gold. This small, mountainous country is one of Africa's largest water exporters, supplying billions of liters of fresh water to South Africa each year. In a region often plagued by droughts and water shortages, Lesotho's water reserves are incredibly valuable, not just for its own survival, but for the economic and agricultural stability of its much larger neighbor. Lesotho's geography and climate make it an ideal natural water reservoir. Here's why: high elevation and snowfall. Lesotho's high-altitude mountains receive significant rainfall and even snowfall during the winter months. As the snow melts and rainwater collects in its valleys, the country's rivers remain full year-round. Numerous rivers and dams. Lesotho is the source of several major rivers, including the Orange River, one of the longest rivers in Africa. The country has built massive dams to collect and store this water. Natural water purity. Unlike lowland countries where water must pass through polluted industrial areas, Lesotho's high-altitude rivers are naturally clean. The water is so pure that it requires minimal treatment before being used. Because of these geographic advantages, Lesotho's water resources have become a major economic asset and a lifeline for South Africa. The Lesotho Highlands Water Project, or LHWP, is truly a game-changer. In the 1980s, Lesotho and South Africa signed a historic agreement to create this project, one of the most ambitious water transfer systems in Africa. The goal? To redirect water from Lesotho's highlands to supply millions of people and industries in South Africa, especially in Johannesburg, Pretoria, and other urban centers that struggle with water shortages. How does it work, you ask? Large dams collect and store water from Lesotho's rivers. A complex system of tunnels and pipelines transports the water across the border into South Africa. In return, South Africa pays Lesotho for every liter of water it receives. The project also provides hydroelectric power for Lesotho, generating renewable energy that supports both local communities and industries. And what about the key dams in the LHWP? Well, the Katsi Dam is the largest and most important dam in Lesotho, holding nearly 2 billion cubic meters of water. Then there's the Mahale Dam, another massive structure that helps regulate water supply and electricity generation. Since the LHWP's launch, Lesotho has earned hundreds of millions of dollars in water export revenues, making it one of the country's most profitable industries. While Lesotho profits from water exports, there are ongoing debates about who benefits the most from this arrangement. South Africa benefits the most because it receives a steady supply of water at a lower cost than if it had to build its own water infrastructure. Lesotho earns money, but many locals believe the profits aren't distributed fairly. Some communities near the dams struggle with poverty and don't have access to clean drinking water, even though their country is selling it abroad. Lesotho's environment, too, is affected. Large-scale dam projects have displaced communities and altered river ecosystems, impacting agriculture and fisheries. Many Lesotho citizens question whether their government is managing water revenue effectively, or if too much of it benefits South African industries instead of Lesotho's people. Water. A future power struggle. As climate change worsens droughts across Africa, Lesotho's control of fresh water could become even more valuable and politically important. If South Africa's water crisis worsens, it may try to renegotiate its agreement with Lesotho, possibly demanding more water at lower prices. Lesotho, on the other hand, may want to increase water prices or diversify its economy to reduce its dependence on South Africa. For now, water remains Lesotho's most valuable asset, but its future depends on how it is managed, who controls it, and how the country balances economic gains with social and environmental needs. But did you know that this tiny African country is also home to the highest ski resort in sub-Saharan Africa? Up next, we'll explore how Lesotho, a country in Africa, has become a winter sports destination with one of the highest ski resorts on the continent. Fact number 4, Africa's highest ski resort, a winter wonderland in Lesotho. When most people think of skiing and snowboarding, their minds immediately go to places like Switzerland, Canada, or the Rocky Mountains. But what if I told you that one of the highest ski resorts in Africa is actually in Lesotho? Yes, Lesotho has snow. The country is home to Afrisky, a high-altitude ski resort 3,222 meters, or 10,570 feet above sea level, nestled in the Maladi Mountains. It's one of only a few ski resorts in Africa, and the highest one in sub-Saharan Africa. Despite being in Africa, Lesotho's elevation and climate allow for real snowfall in winter, creating ideal conditions for winter sports. Here's how this unexpected ski destination has become a hidden gem for adventure seekers. Lesotho's mountainous geography and high elevation create a unique climate that differs from the rest of Africa. Altitude matters. Since Lesotho is the only country in the world that lies entirely above 1,000 meters, it has cooler temperatures year-round. Between May and August, Lesotho's higher regions receive natural snowfall, particularly in the Maloti Mountains, where a frisky is located. To extend the ski season, a frisky also uses snowmaking machines to supplement natural snowfall and maintain skiable conditions for longer periods. This cooler climate, combined with modern ski facilities, has transformed a frisky into an unusual but exciting winter sports destination. A frisky is Lesotho's premier ski resort and a one-of-a-kind adventure hub for African travelers looking to experience winter sports. A frisky has a 1-kilometer-long slope with various ski trails suitable for both beginners and experienced skiers. No gear, no problem. A frisky offers ski equipment rentals and has a ski school where instructors help first-timers learn the basics. For thrill seekers, a frisky has a snowboarding park where visitors can try jumps, tricks, and freestyle moves. Even outside the snow season, a frisky remains a popular adventure spot, offering mountain biking, hiking, and trail running. Who visits a frisky? Ski enthusiasts from South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana looking for a winter getaway without traveling overseas. Tourists and adventure seekers who want to experience a rare African ski resort. International athletes who come to train at high altitudes before competitions. Despite its small size compared to European or North American resorts, a frisky provides a high-altitude experience that's rarely found anywhere else in Africa. Tourism is a key contributor to Lesotho's economy, and a frisky plays a crucial role in attracting visitors. The resort provides employment opportunities for locals, from ski instructors to hotel staff. Restaurants, lodges, and transport services benefit from tourism dollars. The ski season brings in visitors who spend money on accommodation, food, and activities, supporting the local economy. A frisky helps put Lesotho on the map as an adventure tourism hotspot, attracting travelers beyond traditional safari destinations. With its unusual location, breathtaking mountain views, and top-tier adventure activities, a frisky is a winter paradise that surprises those who expect Africa to be all about deserts and savannas. Running a ski resort in Africa isn't easy. A frisky faces several challenges, including climate change. Rising global temperatures threaten snowfall levels in Lesotho, potentially reducing the natural ski season. High operational costs. Snow machines and ski lifts require significant energy and water resources, making it expensive to maintain. Infrastructure limitations. Roads leading to a frisky can become difficult to navigate during heavy snowfall, affecting visitor accessibility. Despite these challenges, a frisky remains a unique and thriving winter sports destination, one that offers an African skiing experience like no other. A frisky is just one example of how Lesotho's mountains offer thrilling outdoor activities beyond skiing, hiking, and trekking. Trails through the Maloti Mountains offer breathtaking views of Lesotho's valleys and waterfalls. Mountain biking. The rugged terrain is perfect for off-road biking and extreme adventure cycling. Camping and ecotourism. With crystal-clear skies and remote wilderness, Lesotho is an ideal place for nature lovers seeking peace and solitude. A frisky proves that Lesotho's high-altitude landscape isn't just a challenge, it's an opportunity to develop a thriving adventure tourism industry. A frisky is more than just a ski resort. It's a testament to Lesotho's incredible geography and untapped potential. Despite being in Africa, Lesotho embraces its winter climate and has created a one-of-a-kind experience for adventurers from all over the world. So the next time you think of skiing destinations, remember, you don't have to go to the Alps or Canada. You can experience snow, slopes, and adventure in the heart of Africa. But skiing isn't the only thing that makes Lesotho special. Its people have a rich and unique culture, deeply rooted in tradition. Up next, we'll dive into the rich cultural traditions of the Basotho people, their famous blankets, and why their traditional hat is on the national flag. Fact number 5. The Basotho people and their iconic culture. Lesotho is not just a land of majestic mountains and extreme landscapes, it is also home to a proud and resilient people, the Basotho. With a history dating back centuries, the Basotho people have developed a strong cultural identity, shaped by their highland environment, traditions, and resistance to colonial influences. From their distinctive blankets and iconic hats to their deep-rooted traditions and unique way of life, The Basotho people stand out as one of Africa's most culturally rich and historically significant ethnic groups. Let's dive into who the Basotho are, their history, and their cultural symbols that define Lesotho's national identity. The Basotho, singularly known as Mosotho, are the major ethnic group in Lesotho, making up over 99% of the country's population. The Basotho people trace their origins to King Moshoeshoe I, who united various Sotho-speaking tribes in the early 19th century to form the Basotho Kingdom. This was during a time of great upheaval known as the Mfecane, the Crushing, a period of warfare and displacement caused by the expansion of the Zulu kingdom under Shaka Zulu. How the Basotho Kingdom was formed. King Moshoeshoe strategically united smaller clans, offering them protection in the mountainous stronghold of modern-day Lesotho. He developed a unique leadership style, emphasizing diplomacy, negotiation, and military strategy. To resist both Zulu raids and European colonial expansion, Moshoeshoe established a fortress capital at Thaba Bosiu, a natural mountain stronghold that remains a national symbol of strength and unity. Thanks to Moshoeshoe's leadership, the Basotho people successfully preserved their independence and cultural identity, even when much of southern Africa fell under British and Boer control. One of the most recognizable symbols of Basotho culture is the Basotho blanket, a thick woolen blanket that is worn as traditional attire by both men and women. The Basotho blanket is not just for warmth, it is a status symbol, a cultural icon, and a deeply significant part of Basotho identity. The history of the Basotho blanket. The tradition dates back to 1860, when King Moshoeshoe I was gifted a European wool blanket. He found it so practical in Lesotho's cold climate that he began wearing it instead of a traditional animal skin kaross. Soon, the blanket became widely adopted by the Basotho people and eventually evolved into a unique cultural symbol. Symbolism and meaning. Each blanket design has a specific meaning representing different aspects of Basotho heritage, history, or personal milestones. Some designs are reserved for royalty, while others are worn for rites of passage, weddings, or special ceremonies. The blankets are made with high-quality wool and are passed down through generations as treasured family heirlooms. Even today, Basotho men proudly wear their blankets over their shoulders, especially in cold weather, traditional ceremonies, and national celebrations. Another famous cultural symbol of the Basotho people is the mokorotlo, a distinctive, conical straw hat with a pointed top. This hat is so important to Basotho identity that it is featured in the center of Lesotho's national flag. Origins of the mokorotlo hat. Traditionally, the mokorotlo was worn by Basotho chiefs and village leaders as a sign of authority and wisdom. Its shape is inspired by Mount Kilauea, a uniquely cone-shaped mountain near Thaba Bosiu, which is considered a sacred landmark in Lesotho. Over time, it became a symbol of unity, cultural pride, and national identity. Modern significance. The mokorotlo is now worn by people across Lesotho, particularly during festivals, national events, and cultural celebrations. It is also sold as a tourist souvenir, showcasing Lesotho's heritage to visitors from around the world. The presence of the mokorotlo on Lesotho's flag is a testament to how deeply traditional symbols are embedded in the country's identity. Lesotho is often called the kingdom in the sky, and navigating its steep mountain terrain requires a unique form of transportation, the Basotho pony. Why horses are so important in Lesotho. Due to the rugged landscape, horses have been the primary mode of transport for centuries. The Basotho pony is a strong, sure-footed breed, adapted to steep, rocky trails and high altitudes. Even today, many remote villages can only be accessed on horseback, especially in areas where roads do not exist. Horses in traditional ceremonies. Basotho men often decorate their ponies for festivals, weddings, and cultural celebrations. Horse riding remains a prestigious skill, and many Basotho leaders and chiefs are skilled riders. Lesotho's strong equestrian culture has led to the development of endurance horse racing events, attracting competitors from all over Africa. Despite globalization and modern influences, the Basotho people continue to embrace their cultural traditions. The Basotho blanket, mokorotlo hat, and Basotho pony remain deeply woven into daily life. Traditional music and dance, such as the energetic Mokibo dance, are still performed at gatherings and celebrations. The Sesotho language remains widely spoken, both in Lesotho and South Africa, keeping the oral history and traditions alive. The Basotho people's resilience and cultural pride have ensured that their heritage remains strong, even in the face of modern challenges and external influences. Lesotho's Basotho people are more than just an ethnic group. They are a nation with a powerful identity built on history, unity, and tradition. From their legendary blankets and iconic hats to their horse-riding heritage and fortress-like mountains, the Basotho culture is a living, breathing testament to their pride and resilience. If you ever visit Lesotho, don't be surprised if you see a Basotho elder wrapped in a woolen blanket, riding a sturdy mountain pony, and wearing the famous Mokorotlo hat, because in Lesotho, tradition is not just the past, it is the present and the future. But behind these cultural treasures, Lesotho is also fighting a major health crisis. So next up, we'll dive into one of the biggest health crises in Lesotho, why the country has one of the highest HIV/AIDS rates in the world, and how it's fighting back. Fact number 6. A country fighting one of the world's worst HIV epidemics. While Lesotho is known for its breathtaking landscapes and rich cultural heritage, it also carries one of the heaviest health burdens in the world, a devastating HIV/AIDS epidemic. Lesotho has one of the highest HIV prevalence rates on the planet, with over 20% of its adult population living with the virus. This means that 1 in every 5 adults in Lesotho is HIV positive. Among women, the numbers are even higher, and the epidemic has deeply affected families, communities, and the nation's future. Despite global efforts to combat the virus, Lesotho remains one of the hardest-hit countries, struggling with poverty, limited healthcare access, and social stigma that continue to fuel the crisis. But how did Lesotho get here? And more importantly, what is the country doing to fight back? The origins of Lesotho's HIV crisis date back to the 1980s and 1990s, when the epidemic first spread across southern Africa. Several key factors contributed to the rapid spread of the virus in Lesotho. High levels of migration to South Africa. For decades, thousands of Basotho men traveled to South Africa to work in gold and diamond mines, often staying for months or years at a time. Many minors engaged in risky behaviors, including unprotected sex and multiple partners, and unknowingly brought the virus back home to Lesotho's villages. Gender inequality and vulnerability of women. Women in Lesotho face significant social and economic challenges, making them more vulnerable to HIV infection. Many women rely on male partners for financial stability, limiting their ability to negotiate safe sex or protect themselves from infection. Shockingly, 27% of women between 15 and 49 years old in Lesotho are HIV positive, one of the highest rates among women in the world. Limited access to healthcare. Lesotho's rural population struggles to reach medical facilities, meaning that many people go undiagnosed or receive late treatment. A lack of education about HIV prevention has also contributed to the continued spread of the virus. Social stigma and fear. Despite progress in HIV awareness, stigma remains a huge barrier in Lesotho. Many people fear discrimination and rejection if they disclose their HIV status, which prevents them from seeking treatment or support. With one of the highest HIV infection rates in the world, Lesotho has been forced to confront this crisis head-on. Despite the severity of the epidemic, Lesotho has made significant progress in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Here's how: massive HIV testing and awareness campaigns. Lesotho has launched nationwide HIV testing campaigns, encouraging everyone to get tested and know their status. The government and NGOs provide free HIV testing services, even in remote villages, to increase early detection. Antiretroviral therapy, ART, programs. The government, with support from international organizations like the United Nations and USAID, has expanded access to life-saving HIV medications, ART. Over 90% of people diagnosed with HIV in Lesotho are now receiving antiretroviral treatment, which helps them live longer and prevent transmission to others. Mother-to-child transmission prevention. Since HIV can be passed from a mother to her baby during childbirth, Lesotho has implemented strong prevention programs to ensure that pregnant women receive treatment. This has significantly reduced the number of babies born with HIV. International support and funding. Since 2006, the United States has provided nearly $1 billion in funding to help Lesotho combat HIV/AIDS through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR. Other international partners, including the Global Fund and UNAIDS, have helped provide medication, education programs, and healthcare training, community education and empowerment. Grassroots organizations are working to educate communities about HIV prevention and reduce stigma surrounding the disease. Programs that empower women and promote gender equality have also played a key role in fighting the epidemic. Thanks to these efforts, HIV infection rates in Lesotho have begun to decline, and more people than ever are receiving treatment. While Lesotho has made great progress, the country still faces major challenges in its fight against HIV/AIDS, poverty and unemployment. With a high unemployment rate, many Lesotho people struggle to afford transportation to healthcare centers, even if treatment is free. Rural healthcare access. Many villages are extremely remote, making it difficult for HIV-positive individuals to receive regular medical care. Teenage infections rising. A growing concern is the increase in HIV infections among young people, especially teenage girls, who are often in vulnerable situations. Without continuous investment in healthcare, education, and economic opportunities, Lesotho's battle with HIV/AIDS is far from over. Despite these challenges, there is hope. Lesotho is proof that even the hardest-hit nations can fight back with the right policies, global support, and community efforts. Today, more Lesotho people than ever before are receiving treatment, living longer, and preventing the spread of HIV. While there is still much work to do, Lesotho's progress shows that an HIV-free future is possible. Lesotho's struggle with HIV/AIDS is one of the biggest public health battles in Africa. But it is also a story of resilience, determination, and hope. With continued international support, improved education, and better healthcare access, Lesotho can turn the tide against HIV/AIDS and save future generations from this devastating disease. Would you have guessed that one of the world's smallest nations is fighting one of the world's deadliest epidemics? Now that you know, what do you think Lesotho needs to further improve its fight against HIV/AIDS? Let me know in the comments below. But Lesotho isn't just about struggle. It also has royal connections, even with the British monarchy. Up next, we'll explore Lesotho's unexpected royal connection, why Prince Harry has dedicated his charity work and personal mission to this small African nation. When people think of royal connections to Africa, their minds often go to historical colonial ties or British royal tours. But Prince Harry's relationship with Lesotho is something different. For more than 20 years, Prince Harry has had a deep personal bond with Lesotho, a connection that goes far beyond formal diplomatic visits. Through his charity work, friendships, and long-term commitment, he has helped change lives in this small mountain kingdom. But what drew Prince Harry to Lesotho? And why has he called it his second home? Let's take a closer look at this royal connection and the lasting impact of his work in the country. Prince Harry first visited Lesotho in 2004, at just 19 years old. At the time, he was searching for a deeper purpose beyond his royal duties. His mother, Princess Diana, had been known for her humanitarian work, particularly in Africa, working with HIV/AIDS patients, landmine victims, and vulnerable communities. Following in her footsteps, Harry wanted to experience Africa beyond the royal lens and make a real difference. During his first visit, he met Lesotho's Prince Seiso, the younger brother of King Letsie III. The two immediately bonded, sharing a passion for helping young people affected by HIV/AIDS and poverty. Lesotho's warm hospitality, natural beauty, and struggles left a lasting impression on Harry, and he continued returning to the country over the years. In 2006, Prince Harry and Prince Seiso co-founded Sentabale, a charity dedicated to helping children affected by HIV/AIDS in Lesotho and Botswana. Sentabale means "forget-me-not" in Sesotho, Lesotho's official language. The name is a tribute to Harry's mother, Princess Diana, and also symbolizes remembering the forgotten children of Lesotho. Sentabale focuses on improving the lives of children and young people by providing healthcare and mental health support for children living with HIV, running youth clubs and educational programs to combat HIV stigma, supporting orphaned and vulnerable children who have lost parents to AIDS, and empowering young women and girls through leadership training and education. Lesotho has one of the highest HIV infection rates in the world. 1 in 5 adults is HIV positive. Many children are orphaned due to AIDS-related deaths and lack proper care or schooling. Sentabale works directly with local communities to break the cycle of poverty and disease. Over the years, Sentabale has expanded its work, impacting thousands of young people across Lesotho and gaining global recognition. Unlike many royals who visit countries briefly for charity work, Prince Harry has maintained a long-term personal connection with Lesotho. He has returned multiple times to check on Sentabale's projects and personally interact with the children. In 2015, he launched Sentabale's Mamohato Children's Center, a home for vulnerable children with HIV, offering education and mental health support. He featured Lesotho in a 2016 documentary, Prince Harry in Africa, to raise awareness about the country's struggles and Sentabale's mission. He invited Prince Seeiso to his 2018 wedding to Meghan Markle, showing their enduring friendship. Through all of this, Lesotho has remained deeply special to Prince Harry, a place where he has built lasting relationships, created real change, and found personal fulfillment. Over the years, Sentabale has helped thousands of young people access healthcare and HIV treatment, launched mentorship programs to educate youth on HIV prevention and self-care, provided scholarships and school support for orphans and vulnerable children, and fought stigma surrounding HIV/AIDS through storytelling and awareness campaigns. Thanks to Sentabale's work, more Basotho children now receive medical care, counseling, and hope for a better future. While Sentabale has been praised for its positive impact, it has also faced challenges and criticism. Funding challenges, limited reach, and royal controversies have posed difficulties. Despite these challenges, Sentabale continues to grow, and its mission remains more important than ever. Prince Harry isn't the only British royal with ties to Lesotho. Queen Elizabeth II visited Lesotho in 1995, shortly after the country's return to democracy. King Charles III, then Prince Charles, visited in 1997, strengthening diplomatic ties. The British monarchy has maintained relations with Lesotho's royal family, as Lesotho was once a British protectorate before gaining independence in 1966. However, Prince Harry's connection is unique because it's based on personal passion, friendship, and long-term dedication, rather than just formal diplomacy. Even after stepping back from royal duties, Prince Harry remains deeply involved in Sentabale. In 2020, he hosted virtual meetings with Sentabale staff to continue supporting their work. In 2022, Sentabale launched new mental health programs for children struggling with HIV-related trauma. Harry has repeatedly stated that his work in Africa is one of his life's greatest missions. As Sentabale continues to grow, its impact in Lesotho and beyond is a lasting legacy of Prince Harry's commitment to the country. Prince Harry's connection with Lesotho goes beyond charity work. It's about genuine care, lasting friendships, and making a real difference. From the moment he first arrived at 19 years old, Lesotho became a second home to him. Through Sentabale, partnerships, and personal dedication, he has played a role in transforming lives in this small but mighty kingdom. Prince Harry once said, "Lesotho has changed my life. Every time I return, I am reminded of the resilience and spirit of the Basotho people. Their strength and courage continue to inspire me." What do you think about Prince Harry's long-standing relationship with Lesotho? Let me know in the comments. But here's something even more surprising. Many of the jeans worn in the United States actually come from Lesotho. Up next, we'll uncover how Lesotho has become one of the biggest exporters of jeans to the United States, making denim for brands like Levi's and Wrangler.